Are you going through a tough time right now and maybe you want to feel better in your emotions and yourself? Well, today I want to talk about working through the level of consciousness and what that is and how you can really work through your emotions with this today. So, thank you for being here. Recently, I've started on YouTube a men's mental health vlog because I want to be very real. I'm not always in a amazing place, and particularly at the moment, I've been going through a bit of a tough time and some realizations and some big transitions in my life, and a little bit of hurt. And as a result, I've been really getting on top of my habits, but really working with my emotions. And I've been sharing to help me video journal, but also maybe there's other guys out there who need to hear it, or people in general, of course. Now, I decided to talk about the levels of consciousness today, because sometimes when you go back to something and you recall it and how you've used it in the past, it'd be really, really helpful. And there's a great book called The Map of Consciousness by, or is it called The Levels of Consciousness by David Hawkins. And it really goes about how we got all these different levels in life. The top being enlightenment, when you're basically, as Peter Sage would say, graduated Earth School. You're kind of, everything is one. And then the lowest levels of it are guilt and shame. In fact, those are the two most destroyful emotions. And where you hang out most often is going to determine the quality of your life. And it's something I've really had to reflect on in terms of what is the emotions I'm living out most of the time. You can, in the middle of things like joy, and as you get high, you get love, and then unconditional love, which is a thing that very few human beings ever master. Apart from the big spiritual leaders out there. And then things like courage, they've all got numbers around them. Things like courage can be 200, and I live in courage quite a lot. And it's good, it's definitely better than guilt and shame, let's be honest about it, and anger. And anger is actually better than guilt and shame, because anger, depending how you channel it, can be a healthy and an unhealthy way. If you channel it badly to other people, obviously that can be very destructive. But if you channel it in a way to kickstart your life, then it can be super, super powerful. You can go up and down in situations, but where you live most of the time is going to determine the quality of your life. And I want to go into some points that have helped me work through it. The problem is most of us, and I've been guilty of this many times, rely on the external world, things to happen or go a certain way for us to feel good, as opposed to starting with the state inside ourselves. And it's certainly something I've been learning more and more about in these last 2 years, for sure. But there's some ways you can really do on the inner world that can really stack the deck in your favor for things showing up in the outer world. So I want to go through these now. The first one is gratitude. Gratitude is a really powerful one. Now for me, I used to get annoyed when people just go, be grateful and all these kind of things. And I think things work differently for other people, but being in gratitude is a really good emotion. And for me, what really helped me with gratitude was something called contrast frames. And a contrast frame is like, as if someone was taking something away from you, but you got it back as well. So it's like, if you, for example, like, I could be right now, I'm 34, I could be like, oh, my 20s have passed me. And the chance of finding a partner is reducing, when actually that's absolute rubbish, right? Instead, I could think, wow, imagine if I was 90 on my deathbed right now, how grateful would I be to go back to 34 years old? And that really helps me. I've got a loving family. Imagine, I know not everyone does. Imagine if that was taken away from me. Wow. And then when I think about I've actually got these things and then those things coming back to me, I feel very grateful. So that's a way you can look at it. Next one, bends in the river. This is very difficult to do, and it's a work in progress for me. A bend in the river is, instead of fighting reality and saying that shouldn't have happened, well, guess who wins out of you in reality? Reality every single time, because it actually happens. But what the aim is here is to work with what you've got and go that direction rather than fighting the currents of life. So when I start looking at actually, okay, right, it doesn't work out with that person, or that job didn't work out, or that business deal didn't work out, what that gives me an opportunity to do is go, okay, life is flowing me this way, how do I redirect it? So that's the second point. Number 3, have an emotional process in place, your do's and don'ts. What is something you're committed to doing every single day? Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's breathwork, whatever it is. Commit that to you. And put an emotional workout for yourself every single morning. That's something I'm very, very keen on. Number 4, people. The people in your life are going to make a massive difference. If you've got people who whinge and moan around you all the time, you're going to adapt to that. If you've got people who love life and celebrate and get excited about ideas, you're going to adapt to that as well. So that's what I'm going to say about that one. And the final point I want to talk about is logging your results. When you start doing practices to feel good and then things show up, that's not just luck. That's actually a sign that focusing on your inner world is key and things are going to show up as a result. So that's something I would suggest as well. So those are my points in terms of how you can really start increasing your levels of consciousness so it's higher and you're in those feel-good emotions more often than not, something I'm working very hard with at the moment. So yeah, gratitude, bends in the river, actually understanding you're being taken away rather than fighting reality. The emotional process of workouts, things you can do every single day, like you go to the gym, you work out and you train hard. The people in your life, number 4, is key. And then number 5, logging your results. When you start focusing on feeling good, start logging what's actually showing up in the world for you as a result. So that's what I've got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.